Divi 5 has done it again. We have brand new features, and these features are really, really exciting. Let me show you how they work. You know how it is when you're designing your website and you'd like to go and add a new page, or you want to go back to another page to design it. Typically, we would come over here and go to the dashboard, and then while we're in the dashboard, we go over to pages, we click on all pages, and then only then is when we go to the page and then say edit with Divi, for example. But you know what? This has changed, and I'm super excited because we have a brand new feature right here. It's called Page Manager. Now, this Page Manager allows us to do pretty much everything in the builder without going to the WordPress dashboard. This is huge. Let me show you how it works. So if I click here on the Page Manager and I click on this little icon here, I can see all the pages. Now, these are all the pages on my website, and I can do a few exciting things here. For example, let's say I want to duplicate this privacy policy page. I can just do that. It's duplicated. Do you see how fast that was? And it also says here, privacy policy copy. Now, if I want to work on this and start designing it, I click on this little pen icon here like that. It opens up, and then I can start designing. So let's go ahead and design, but this design I'm going to do here is going to use Krafter Pro. This is the Divi 5 design system. This is the only system out there that allows you to design professional looking websites, which are also fluid and responsive. You don't need to guess values as you're designing. Now, I want to do a quick demo for you. All right, so let's say you want to change this text here. I'm going to come over here to the settings icon, come over here to design. And then over here on the text, we are going to make this a label, but it's going to be light. So I'm going to choose label light. Now, as you can see, this is a preset based system. Okay. Next, I'm going to come over here on the text, select my gear icon, heading text. I'm going to select a heading large, but it needs to be light. Boom. Just like that. Right. Next, I'm going to come over here, and this is my paragraph text. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to go to text, and this time it needs to be body text light. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So here we go. It needs to be a bit large. So now I've got my text. The next thing I want to do now is to make sure that my rows here also comply with the rows that are recommended when we design our site. So as you can see on the top here, by default, it will be like that. This is out of the box Divi. But of course, this is not what you're supposed to do when you're designing. So you need to come over here, row settings. We're going to come over here to the top, and we're going to set this to a wide text row. Okay, boom. Now this is the ideal size for this row. Next, let's add another row. And in this row, we're going to add our image. So I'm going to search for my image module. Now, bear with me because I want to show you something really, really cool here. So let's choose our image. So let's say this is going to be our image right here. I'm going to say upload. All right. Now that we have this, in fact, you know what? I don't like this image. Let's choose this one right here. All right. So now that we have our image here, we may want to do a quick preview. And this next feature is in Divi 5. I mean, this is pretty cool. So before, when we used to do a preview, it used to open up a new tab, and that used to annoy me so much. This time around, there's an update, and this update, all you have to do is to click on preview. It gets rid of everything on the page, and now you can see the full design. Look at that. I mean, isn't that cool? So now I can literally look at this and say, you know what? The spacing between this image and this text here needs to increase. So what do? I click exit preview, and then I'll click here on this row. Okay. And then we're going to come over here to design, and then under spacing, I'm going to say margin top. I think extra large here is what I need. Boom. Right. Did you see that? Perfect sizing. Everything looks great. But you see, the preview comes with a few features. So if I were to come over here and click on this drop down, you can preview on front end or enter preview mode. So this is how things used to be before. Okay. Now this is ideal if you want to test and see if your design is, fully responsive. So let's do that. I'm going to say inspect. And this is just to prove to you that the design system actually works. Look at that text. Look at that image. Do you see how everything is getting smaller as my screen is getting smaller? Do you see that? You see that? You see that? Now, this is what I mean by fluid and responsive. Our heading text here has gone smaller. Our paragraph text has become smaller. Our image has become smaller. And I haven't gone in and added any values at all. So this is the power of that. So that's the only way. But if you're just doing a basic preview, you just click on that and this will just give you a basic preview. So if you want to make any changes to this, you can literally just go in just by looking at this. So this is going to save us a lot of time. Now, I want to go back. Okay, let's just save this first. Now, in fact, before I talk about the next feature, you see this save. It has a little icon here where we can drop down. You can save and publish this page from here. I mean, isn't that amazing? Because now it has saved us a lot of time. You can save and set to pending. You can save and set to private, or you can just do the normal save like that. Okay, so now that we've saved this, pretty much we're good. Let's go back. Okay, let's go back over here to the page manager. Now on the page manager here, at first glance, I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe this page manager only does pages. So what happens if you want to do posts? But guess what? If you come over here to the page manager and you click on add new, you can specify what this is. So let's say this is post 1. Okay, let's say it's a blog post. What you do now is you come over here to post type and then set this to post. And then on the status here, you can set it to draft. You can set it to scheduled. And then you can come over here and say, you know what? I want this to be scheduled on the 31st. All right. And then you add the post. And we are doing it right in here. I mean, this is amazing. So now that we've added the post, if you want to edit it, this is where you come over here to posts. And you'll notice that we have our test post. And then if I need to edit this, I can just click here on the edit post and then I'll start editing the post. If I need to duplicate the post, I can just go in and duplicate the post. If I need to delete it, I can just click here on delete and it gets deleted. I mean, this is super powerful. It has saved us so much time because the idea of every time you want to add a post, you go back to the dashboard and then do your work there. It was just getting ridiculous, to be honest. And I'm really glad that this idea that Elegant Themes has implemented is going to make Divi 5 a unified design software. So basically we can just design everything in one screen without, moving back and forth between the interface and WordPress itself. I really, really love this feature. It is amazing. Now, I know you're probably saying, okay, so what happens to all the other features, all the icons, where are they? Well, if you come over here to builder settings, all right, and expand this, you're going to notice that we have our page bar icons here, okay? Our page bar icons. So if you want to add your undo and redo, you just do that. Now, do you notice where it was added? It is right here on the top. Now, take a quick look here. If I remove that, it's gone. Right there on the top. So this is your undo and redo, but you can always do Command Z or Control Z. Okay, if you're on Windows. We also have the history. Okay, now do you notice that the history now has been added there? Okay, right there. You can also add the export and import. Look at that. So it's right there. So I really like this. Clear layouts. If you want to add that, you can add that to that and then add to library. Okay, so these icons here, depending on how you're using Divi, you can activate them here or you can deactivate them. It's pretty much up to you. And I like this because if you know you're not going to be using the undo, redo, just get rid of it. If you use the history. In fact, when I design my websites, I don't use the history at all. So I just get rid of that. Import export, chances are you're not going to share this layout. Okay, so let's just remove that. Clear layout, maybe you might need that. And also this one here, add to library, because library, as you're designing, you may want to add all your elements to the library. But I like the fact that I can add all these little features here, and it is very, very easy now to make all these icons clear, or just add them on when I need them. This is really cool. We're not done yet. There's also another feature, okay? Now, when we come over here to the gear icon, in fact, let's get rid of this, all right? When we come over here to this gear icon, it has new items here. Check this out. You can open recent. Now, do you know how this saves us a lot of time? Before, you just go into the WordPress admin dashboard, you click on pages, it doesn't even, show you which one is the recent one. I think it's laid out in alphabetical order, but who has time to go in and try and find where it is in alphabetical order? That's crazy. So here now, I can go to my latest page that I'm working on, the recent page, which is pretty cool. Maybe I may have designed, let's say, the dashboard page, and I don't really, need to use that. Why should it be there on the list? It should be the last one on the list. But this just makes it easy for me to just come in and say recent. Boom, I go to my recent items here. Save is right here. Add to library is here as well. Import, export. So pretty much it's the items over here. You have the history here, and then the clear layout, which is also this little icon right here. Now, of course, there are other features like the canvas grid. I can add more canvases here. I mean, this is how powerful Divi is becoming. If you haven't purchased Divi, I will leave a link to that in the video description below. It is really, really awesome. I mean, these features here are amazing. All right, so let's go back in here. So let's say as I'm designing, I click on that. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to find where you are as you're designing. But you know what's really cool? If you take a look here on the top, we have some breadcrumbs. So you have your page, which is the full page, and then you have your section, which is where we are. And if I click here, now I can access the text, the heading, or this text, just like that. And then I can go in and start designing. How cool is that? So, I mean, this just makes the whole process of designing much, much easier. So our section here, I can go in here, and let's say I want to go into the column. I can select my column, and right now I'm in my column. And while I'm there, let's say I want to set this to gap 0. You can remove your gaps like that. But in this case, yes, if you go into design here, you can access pretty much everything. You can change this to grid, and then if you want to make your adjustments, like for example here, I've changed my gaps, between my elements, and now I can go in and specify what I need. So for example, this paragraph text here, or this heading text, I can specifically say, you know what, I want to go to spacing here and add a margin top of, let's go with small to start off with, okay? And then here, we can say margin top. Let's go large. I can come over here to spacing, and then I'm going to say margin top. Now let's go medium. Okay. So I'm going to say margin top medium. Right. I think my spacing now looks much, much better. So as you can see, these breadcrumbs here makes it very, very easy for me to find everything. If I do a quick preview here, I can see now that my spacing looks much, much better. And if I were to go in and do a quick test and see if everything's looking great in terms of responsiveness, I can also do that just by looking at my design. Now I can see here that my spacing here doesn't look great. I can do an exit, select my section here, and then I'm going to come over here to the top, and then I'm going to say, let's go with medium. Or in fact, let's try large. Okay, now the spacing around my elements has been adjusted, and everything is responsive, by the way. So this is pretty cool. I really like this update, and it just makes the design of websites with Divi 5, really, really cool. I'm just waiting for maybe perhaps a few items like the mega menu, and also maybe an update to the presets over here, the preset manager. I mean, it would be nice if we could get some icons here to see what was imported and how easy it is to delete them, and to see which the duplicates are. And I also want to take this opportunity to show you some really amazing features that I am working on for Krafter Pro. So let's say, for example, I want to add, I'm going to delete this. So let's say I am going to add a single column, but in this column, I'm going to add some blurbs, okay? So as you can see, out of the box, when you add the Divi default one, it looks like this. But if I were to come over here now, I can choose blurb dark. Now, do you see how that has been transformed straight away just by doing that? Now, let me just add a bit of text in here so we can see what this looks like. So I'm going to go in and add my image. So I'm going to go to image and icon. And let's say I add this image right here. Okay, now I know it doesn't look great with all the sides there. Let's duplicate this, and then I'm going to come over here to this row. In fact, let's get rid of this now. So with this row selected, I'm going to go to elements, and then I'm going to go to this column. I'm going to make this column auto grid. Okay, now do you see how my blurb has pretty much taken on a design that fits in with pretty much everything? You know, this is really, really cool. So you don't have to go in and design these blurbs, because these blurbs come in these presets pre-done for you. If you want to use the primary color, you can just do that. Okay, but the advantages of using the dark version right here is it works with any background. And let me prove to you that it works with any background. I'm going to come over here, go to our background, and I'm going to choose another dark color here. But you know what? Let's do it manually so you can see what is happening. All right, so let's say we go with that. Now, do you see how this actually adapts? Do you see that? It's nice, it's clean, it adapts. There we go. Look at that. Let's say you have a unique color. Whatever color you choose, it is going to work. You see that? Now, you don't have to spend time designing all these. These are pre-designed for you ahead of time. And this is going to be in our new update called Krafter Pro. So this is very, very exciting. It's not only the blurbs, by the way. This is going to be happening to all the modules in Divi 5. So this is going to be a very, very, very powerful product. Let's say you want to add a search item here. I'm going to click this plus button and look for my search. By default, this is what it looks like. But if I go in and choose the dark version, you can see here the preset has been selected. I just need to add my placeholder text in here. So I'm going to say search here. Okay, we just need to update this preset now, like that. But do you see how easy this is? So if I save, in fact, let's center this to make it look nice. I'm going to come over here to design, sizing. We're going to center that, and we're also going to add a margin to the top. Okay, so we're going to use our design system. I'm going to come over here to spacing, and we're going to say margin top medium. There we go. And then for this here, we're going to say margin top extra large. Okay, so now when we do a quick preview, you notice that we have our design here, and whatever we change, if we change this to another background, for example, let me just come over here and choose another color. So whatever color you choose, especially if it's really dark, it just adapts. And this is how our design system is going to work. Now, it's going to be released very, very soon. So at the moment, we're just going to make sure that everything is compatible and everything is working great. And with this auto grid, you'll notice that if I do a save and publish here, and then I preview this on a new tab on the front end. Now, if you want to check if this is responsive, you can watch the search bar. It gets smaller. And you notice that with auto grid, everything has changed. And if I hover over it, you can see here we have an indication that this is, there's something over there, right? So the auto grid works. Everything just works out of the box. You can see here, boom. And my text is getting smaller. My search bar is getting smaller. And pretty much, this design, it will look great on all devices. So this is what will be released very, very soon on DiviUniversity.com. So make sure that if you're not a member yet of Divi University, you go ahead and sign up. It's absolutely free. But if you want to make sure that you have Krafter Pro when it releases, then you need to purchase Krafter. At the moment, it's only $77, and you'll be automatically upgraded to the Krafter Pro, which is going to be $197 when it gets released. So it's very, very exciting. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and I'm super excited that Divi now gives us the power to design websites the professional way. Anyway, let me know what you think. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.